Welcome to the F3 podcast,
where we talk food, football, and fantasy football.
We're on to week 19, and our team is the Arizona Cardinals. And we've got a huge announcement here on the F3 podcast. We're heading into Super Bowl 50 in San Francisco, and a food pick that brings desert heat straight to the game. I'm Chef Jonathan Fraser.
And I'm Erin Halschuk.
And we're back at it again.
We are 2 weeks, well, kind of 2.5 weeks, pretty much 2 weeks away. Super Bowl 50.
I know, this time it is heating up, and we are getting ready for some real action.
Yeah.
I mean, what are we going to be talking about today?
Oh man, this is like, I know last week we said it was like Christmas for football fans because we're getting into the very, very crunch time for playoffs. But come on, this is where the excitement really builds. And we are so close to Super Bowl. We're about 2.5 weeks away, and we've got 2 more weekends of football before the big championship game. So I am really excited, and every game just kind of makes me realize why I'm a football fan, and it's just really good.
I know my eardrums are hurting because you were roaring loud at the game today. 2 games today.
Yes.
Anyways, but let's get into a little bit of talking about, because we haven't got fantasy to talk about
we
this
don't.
week. So let's dive into a little bit about what's happening with San Francisco.
Well, we are recording this podcast on Saturday night, right after the NFC Championship game, or game leading up to the NFC Championship, I should say. So we just saw Seattle Seahawks absolutely just rip into the San Francisco 49ers, and they just killed them to advance to the NFC Championship game. So with a final score of 41-6, which is unbelievable. So, I'm sorry, I know I have a lot of friends who are 49ers fans, and it definitely would have been nice to see the 49ers play, or at least the possibility of them playing in their home stadium for the Super Bowl. That chance got completely taken off the table this evening. Seattle just absolutely dominated them. It was incredible to see. I know they've got kind of like the Legend of Boom 2.0 on their defense. Their, defense is absolutely incredible. We've talked about quite a bit this season how they've really gone under the radar, and I think they haven't been given as much credit as they should. And that's fine. They're, taking perhaps the role of the underdog, or they're just showing that a lot of teams who are in the Pacific Northwest kind of get ignored by the larger teams in major league sports. And they are showing why they've gotten this far into the playoffs. And it's very impressive to see. So that was a fun game to watch. And I'm sorry for your eardrums.
Well, and I'm going to be, you totally threw me off because I think we've dove right into what's happening in football. So let's keep going with this.
Yeah.
Because not only did we watch San Francisco get destroyed.
Oh, man.
I felt bad, actually. And I was kind of excited because I thought we had some connections with maybe Nathan Rourke from the BC Lions was going to be at the game, where I know he was down there watching the 49ers today.
Yeah, we had a little insider scoop that Rourke was down in Seattle watching his brother, who's the third string quarterback on the 49ers, and the really cool BC connection there. So
yeah, that was kind of exciting.
Yeah.
But then again, before that game, let's talk a little bit about the Buffalo Bills and the Denver Broncos.
Yes. So that was quite the interesting game as well. I mean, that went into overtime. They were tied 30-all going into overtime. It could have gone either way. Came down, I think, to the last 5 minutes in overtime. And the NFL, it's just the first score wins the game, whether you like that format or not. That's the way the format is. And there were definitely opportunities for both teams there to take that game. And it's a little bit of some breaking news drama happening here with Denver, because it just got announced, even though they did end up winning that game and they will be advancing to the AFC championships, that Sean Payton announced this evening during the Seahawks game that Bo Nick fractured his ankle and he will not be playing at all in the playoffs. So that is a huge, huge blow to the Broncos. And that might have an effect on the next game, depending on who they play. So it's going to be really interesting. That game's between the Texans, New England, and that is happening on Sunday. So, the AFC championship game just got a heck of a lot more interesting.
So we saw something happening there.
Always.
All right. Well, so those are the two games that happened today. And so let's look at tomorrow. We've got a couple big games happening.
We do. Yeah. We just kind of touched a little bit on New England and the Texans. If I had to put my money on it, I think New England is the team. I can easily see them, especially with this recent announcement about Denver quarterback boneless being out for the playoffs. I can definitely see New England advancing as the AFC champs into the Super Bowl. I would put money on that.
Is that what you're putting your money right now?
I certainly am.
Patriots?
Yeah, I think they are an extremely dominant team, incredible, well-disciplined team, really, really incredible talent and coaching, quarterbacking, everything. I think they're playing really well. So I would not be surprised to see them represent the AFC in
But then
the
let's
Super
look
Bowl.
a little bit at Houston. Do you think
They're good? They're not great. I think there's obviously there's a reason why they made it this far, but I think up against New England, I don't think they stand much of a chance.
And then again, our last game for tomorrow. Looking at this one, and I don't think anyone knows what's going to happen on this one because this is too close to call because we have the Los Angeles Rams and the Chicago Bears.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a great game. It was amazing because as I was watching the game tonight between the Seahawks and the 49ers, I saw a graphic come up and it was, just showing the sort of preview of the game on Sunday for the Bears and for LA. And they had the 5th seed Los Angeles Rams listed. And I thought, oh my gosh, Los Angeles is the 5th seed. Like that to me is just a little bit wild because they were playing some really, really good quality football. And to think of them as 5th seed, I feel like that kind of misrepresents them a little bit. I think they're definitely better than that. They were very, very close to finishing on top and eliminating the Seahawks from the number 1 position in the NFC. So I think don't underestimate the Rams would be my advice. Chicago is a great, great team, and I think they will 100% give the Rams a run for their money. This game, it could go either way. I would say maybe if I was a betting person, I might put a little bit of money on the Rams. And
You're going to throw something on the Rams
I
there?
hate myself a little bit for saying that just because I don't want them to win and I don't want them to play the Seahawks, but I could see them winning.
Either way, one of those two teams will be going against Seattle.
That's right. So we're back in, I was almost going to say CenturyLink. That's not it. Lumen Field next Sunday evening for the NFC Championship game.
That sounds like a lot of
Yeah.
fun. Now, let's just talk, since we're talking about the league, is there anything else happening? Because, you were talking a little bit about trades and stuff like that, and you're not seeing much of that?
Yeah, no, there's no trades happening now. It would mostly be coaching, hiring, and firing are the biggest sort of bits that's going on right now. And I know there's some interest, as there are this time of year, with different coaches going all over the place. I thought John Harbaugh might be scooped up by the Raiders. That was kind of the hot rumor I think we talked about last week, and that doesn't sound like that's going to be happening. But yeah, there's definitely a handful of coaches out there that are looking for jobs. And I think once the dust settles on the playoffs, then all of those pieces, will fall together. Usually it's whenever the team, loses, and then the very next day there's a bunch of rumbling and rattling happening. So stay tuned.
We'll see what happens. And then about retirements. Anyone retiring yet?
Oh, I don't think nothing too certain yet. Again, give it a couple of weeks. I think usually around Super Bowl time, that's when we generally when we can hear a little more about it. Yeah.
Well, let's take a little step back because you buried the lead today.
Oh, I did.
And I know you're always the one who says you're burying
the lead.
Bring it to the top. But what did you want to tell everyone out there? What are we going to be doing?
Well, I think you teased it on the intro to this podcast, but we definitely do have some very exciting news. And we mentioned it about 3 or 4 episodes back, but for any astute listeners, we did finally get confirmation this week. We're very, very fortunate to be heading down for the 3rd year in a row down to San Francisco for Super Bowl 50.
You bet you. And we are excited about this.
Yes.
So we're definitely looking at being down there. We're going to go down and hopefully get onto Radio Row so we can do some interview with some players as well as some other people. We want to look at this from a food first football storytelling, right? So we've been reaching out to a bunch of people, sort of trying to get some connections. We've got some people who've reached back to us, and I don't want to let everything go right now. Mm-hmm. So we have something to talk about next week before we get ready to go down there. So that's sort of just a little bit of a teaser for you. But I think, you know what? This is going to be one of those ones that I know everyone we're going to talk to is we want to know, what is your must-have Super Bowl food?
Oh, yes. I love that. think we're going to chat with quite a few people while we're there and definitely kind of do some streeters, just chat with some fans while we're there. We've done sort of similar ones in the past, but I think this one will be particularly fun to do.
Well, this is going to be a little more exciting because I think we have a little bit of support back at home.
Yep.
And then, you know what? We may have some giveaways as well, too.
Yeah, we don't want to say too much, but I think we can definitely reveal the fact that we have one really fun giveaway for sure, with perhaps some more to come, but perhaps in the range of some exclusive Super Bowl 50 merch.
Exactly. But we're also just excited to be down in San Francisco. As a food teaser here, let's talk seafood. We got street food, global flavors, and of course, great late night eats. I am super excited about doing that because we've reached out to a few chefs, so hopefully we can get some of those people in there, and hopefully everything lines up a little more smoother than our drop in to Louisiana as last time happened for us. So still an amazing time and so great to talk to all the people there. So I guess now we're at our team of the week.
Yes, absolutely.
And unfortunately, this team is not going to be at Super Bowl for sure, right?
Well, no. And funny enough, they and Chicago, who we talked about a couple of episodes back, are, I think, the two original teams in the NFL. So the Cardinals came into the NFL in 1920, I believe. They were one of the two charter teams of the NFL.
Really?
So they've been around forever. Have they ever succeeded or really tasted success? No. Not at all. They do have the incredible record, and not necessarily a good one, but they have recorded the most losses by a franchise in NFL history. Also,
you got to be good at something, right?
Also, if that wasn't enough, the team has suffered so many losing seasons that as of 2025, I can't even say this with a straight face, as of 2025, they have the longest active championship drought in North American sports at 78 seasons.
That's amazing.
It's impressive.
You know what? Being a Canadian, it kind of makes me think of the Toronto Maple Leafs.
Yeah, it's impressive for all of the wrong reasons. So
I'm very sorry, Arizona.
It is quite funny.
But we do support you, and we wanted to talk a little bit about their stadium, because it's State Farm Stadium, which is a loud outdoor stadium. What can you say about that? Because that was something you were...
when we mentioned Arizona, that this was the team that we were going to talk about during this episode last week, I was like, oh, I'm really excited because I have a love-hate relationship with Arizona and their ridiculous stadium. Ridiculous in a nice way, in terms of it's crazy because it's sort of this engineering feat that they literally roll out the grass and roll back the grass. It's insane because they grow the grass on these trees, which is kind of unheard of other way in kind of a bunch of other stadiums. It's really neat because it's got a retractable playing field of grass, and they bring it in and out for every game so that they can use the stadium for other things throughout the season and throughout the weeks. I know for me personally, watching the Seahawks play there, it is a horrible stadium for the Seahawks. I think they have this massive curse over State Farm Stadium that it's awful. Every time the Seahawks play in State Farm against Arizona, at least one player has a pretty devastating injury. So it's getting a pretty bad reputation. And whether it's the retractable grass, whether it's something else, who knows? But that stadium, man, that stadium and the Seahawks do not mix well together.
Okay, well, let's get on to the team as it is right now.
Yes.
Maybe talk a little bit about some of the players, the coaching staff, and what they have got going for them right now.
Yeah, they don't have a lot. Let's say that. As one of the most losing teams in professional sports, they certainly do not have a lot. I mean, I think we've talked about this with a couple of other teams. It's a really bad combination of bad management, bad organizational structure. They've gone through so many coaches, so many players. They haven't drafted well. They haven't taken advantage of the players that they have. I don't know exactly what it is. I've watched Kyler Murray was drafted, I think, in 2019. Very similar to Russell Wilson. Very small stature, not at all your conventional, from a physical point of view, at all your conventional quarterback. He, like Russell Wilson, very much was, when he was in college, sort of deciding between two sports, whether he was going to go into football or whether he was going to go into baseball. And, looking at his career now, I think maybe baseball maybe would have been the better choice. I'm not sure. He's had his ups and downs as a college player, as a professional quarterback. I look at him and I look at his career, at least in the NFL, and there's been so much talk, a lot of rumors, a lot of murmurs around just his discipline, his ability to actually focus on the game and to be a leader himself. And I think, the quarterback is the most important, whether you like it or not, it is the most important position on the field. And the quarterback sets the tone for the rest of the team. And there's definitely been some chatter about his ability to focus, whether he studies the playbook. There's been rumors that he'd much rather play video games than study the playbook. He doesn't know his plays off by heart. He doesn't know all these sorts of things. To get to the point where it is sort of a public rumor, whether it's completely true or not, obviously there's enough behind it to make it bubble to the top that it makes me question. And just watching his play, I feel like he's the type of quarterback that if he really put his mind to it, he could be better, but he's not. And there's a reason for that. So that in combination with I don't know, just a lot of bad decision making from an organization has gotten them to where they are. So at least they play in a nice stadium.
Right. So what do they have to do to move forward?
Oh gosh, a lot. I mean, they have a relatively new coach. They've got to draft a little bit better. They've got to do a little bit better in improving basically all elements of the team. Honestly, I think if I was in charge of player personnel for the Cardinals, my biggest thing, and I maybe it's just me, I've never been a huge Kyler Murray fan. I want him to succeed, but I just see him kind of stuck at the same level. And he's shown flashes of greatness, and I think he's certainly got potential. But I think one of the things I would do, definitely bring in competition at that position in some capacity. I think he needs to be challenged because I don't think he is honestly as good as he could be. So I think in order to do that, I think there needs to be some challenge in that quarterback position.
Work a little harder at it.
Absolutely.
I get it. Well, let's move on a little bit here because I think we can get into a little bit of a snapshot of the food scene.
Yeah, I think
Arizona.
so. Maybe that's what the Cardinals need, just better food.
Well, maybe here's some suggestions that can help them out because when I started looking into Phoenix and the food scene there, it was definite an influence of that Southwestern and Mexican borderland flavors, right? And I think it's really shaped by the desert climate and the cultural mix of Arizona and that northern Mexico thing. So I saw a lot of really bold chilies, lots of citrus notes, a little smoky grilling, and then hearty comfort food, right?
Yeah.
So that's where I was kind of going with this. I was looking at a bunch of the different foods here and trying to think about what would really be some game day favorites, definitely from this region. I'm sort of looking at those borderline cuisines, the Sonoran flavors, right? And the street food that embody that sort of U.S.-Mexico border mix, right? Am I getting you excited?
The fusion. Well, I love that sort of cuisine, and I love the idea of kind of combining the Mexican influence with what Arizona could offer. So let's bring on those tacos.
Well, I'm going to start off. This one probably won't work for you.
All right.
But I got the Sonoran hot dog. And you're like, what is that? So basically a bacon wrapped hot dog in a nice soft roll. There's a nice soft bread roll loaded with pinto beans, onions, tomatoes, jalapenos, mayo, and mustard. An iconic Arizona signature street food. So
I love that. That's their take on the hot dog.
The next one I was looking at was carne asada tacos. Grilled marinated beef served on a flour tortilla with cilantro, onions, and lime. That classic Mexican flavor, definitely unique to that area.
Yeah.
I thought that was a nice one. And then, of course, I found a green chili stew, which would be a nice hearty dish with roasted green chilies. Meat in it often would be pork, potatoes, and the spice simmered in a warm stew. I think definitely a Southwestern comfort food there for sure.
Well, and, I haven't spent a lot of time in Arizona. I've been there just a few times really quickly. But like many desert areas, I think when you think of stew, you're like, oh my gosh, Arizona's so hot. But in the desert at night, it gets cold. It gets really cold. And so I could see that working.
Even with the nice spicy the
Yeah.
green chilies, right? That would really heat you up a little bit too. And then I was like the chimichangas. Deep fried burritos, right? Claimed to be invented in Arizona.
Really?
And
I
was
didn't know
definitely
that.
like that, yeah. They got that crunchiness and richness in it. The other one I was looking at was Navajo tacos, right? Or fried bread, right? So an indigenous influence to showcase some of the flavors of down there.
Right.
So,
Yeah.
but you know what? It was tough, and I kind of floated around. But I really thought about, and definitely for game day time, Southwestern chicken nachos.
Oh, I like that. That's your pick of the week?
That is my pick of the week. This isn't just nachos, right? Like this has got some Phoenix flavor. All right, so what am I talking about? You want to know what Southwestern tacos are. What makes them different? Well, here we go. We're going to have like spicy grilled chickens, roasted chilies, black beans, and of course fresh salsa that just brings that all together. So of course, when I'm looking at like a nice grilled chicken, right, with some nice spice, a little bit of lime on there, grilled on the barbecue, nice roasted peppers, right? So definitely a bunch of different types you can have with there, as well as like the black beans to go on top of that. And then, of course, finishing that off, your good old cheese on top, which we could have Monterey Jack and maybe a nice sharp cheddar to go with that mixed together. And then, of course, you've got all your toppings of fresh salsa, sour cream or crema. You could do guacamole or some diced avocado on top. Of course, what completes it, nothing more than fresh cilantro. And then
That is if you're one of the people who think it's a good thing.
Come on.
It tastes like soap.
And then, of course, I was thinking about pickled jalapenos on top of there as well. Always a crowd favorite. Anyways, so I just thought this was like definitely just seemed to me to be the perfect Arizona cuisine, right? To complete this nice southwestern heat and then build those flavors together. So when you're in a crowd, you can watch some good football, right?
So speaking of nachos, I mean, we didn't quite have these type, but we did have some nachos while we were watching the game tonight, and it did make for a good pairing.
Of course. And this would be easy one that without the chicken, just throwing some extra grilled peppers on there.
Yeah.
Like there's lots of different peppers that you could definitely incorporate into this one that you could grill off and would just be absolutely fabulous to go on top of. So that would be my pick of the week is
Nice.
Southwestern grilled chicken nachos.
I like that.
And of course, there'll be a recipe at
Yes.
the end of the day.
Definitely. So looking ahead to next week, we are in crunch time now.
Oh my gosh. We are going to have, what can you look forward to? Like, let's just recap right here, right? It's late in the season and we're down to the last 4 teams at the moment.
That we are.
Actually, we're down. Yeah, we will be down to the last 4 teams after
when
tomorrow.
this episode comes out.
That's
Yep.
right. If we have either the Texans or the Patriots,
Yes.
they're going to be up against
Denver, who
Denver.
has a broken quarterback.
I know, which sounds pretty risky. And then, of course, Seattle's going to be coming up, and they're going to be up either against the Bears
Or the Rams.
I know. This is going to be pretty interesting
boy.
there. So that's going to be some fun looking at football. And, of course, for food, we're talking all about Southwestern heat that just wins every time. And then the big news for us,
Super Bowl or bust.
that's right. So we're going to go down there. And of course, we want to share the adventure with you and bring you along with us. So don't forget to subscribe to this podcast and give us a rating. It always helps out on all those things. And then maybe if you want to tell us what food never survives a halftime meal for you.
Oh,
So
I like that. Or alternative Super Bowl halftime food picks or game day picks too.
we would love them all.
Yeah.
Right? Send us your favorites and maybe they'll make it on the show here for sure.
I like it.
I think it's that time of the day again.
My favorite time.
Are you ready?
Spinny wheel.
Getting my arm up and do.
Oh, we only have a few teams left that we haven't talked about. So we are staying relatively south, but we're heading over a little east. Tennessee Titans.
Ooh, that sounds like a great food city.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. That'll be a really fun matchup.
Yeah, exactly.
Excellent.
All right. Well, thanks for listening to the F3 podcast. And we'll be having more details about upcoming shows shortly. Thanks for listening.